The problem with hitching a lift in a ship that's transcendental is that it rattles your teeth as well as your bones. For this reason, I've stuck to a liquid diet. Now, I'm not saying that Mr. Cortex ship is old-fashioned, but the drinks cabinet seems to consist of dry martinis. Well, the bottles are dry, getting drier by the parsec. I did ask if we could stop by a galactic off-license, but he keeps muttering something about time. Time is illusion, I've heard it said, especially if calling time in a pub. Maybe we could just have a look at that evil drone Boozerama, I suggested, but apparently he's been barred for some sort of infringement.
Or you, get out!
I have managed to get his food replicator working, though, and some rudimentary cocktails have been produced. A metropolis, a large metropolis, which was my first attempt. This was largely successful, as it just turned out to be a large gin. Still, any port in a storm. Though it struggled with producing port, I did say that it should be a fortified wine, so I gave him a bottle of the house red and a stab vest. Not very refreshing, but it may come in handy later. While this was going on, Mr. C was poring over some galactic charts. Sadly, he wasn't pouring any round of that old jank spirit into large shot glasses. Anyway, it seems that I am the chosen one. Or so he thinks. He is willing to compromise a little bit and be pulled into a bar on 20th century Earth, somewhere in the late 1970s. Here you can get 6 pints for a £5. Sadly, I didn't have a £5, so I had to run into the stores while Mr. C argued with the staff about the Ninky exchange rate.
I don't know what that is, mate, but we don't take them.
Lifting a few crates of some rocket fuel called Tennant's Extra, which I believe is a 10th generation spirit distilled to some Scottish ham and allowed to sit for a few decades. Naturally, Mr. C lost the argument and was thrown out of the pub.
Get out of it.
We found ourselves back on the proverbial road. The Tennant's Extra that I'd stolen turned out to be a highly flammable rocket fuel, and we were soon burning a line across the night sky once more.
What was that? Did you just see something?
Apparently my lucky charm has let me fall on my feet, and Mr. C, once again, talking to me, curious to know my origins and the nature of my being the chosen one. His main line of questioning was as to how I'd restore balance to the witchyverse. I said my main skill was being lucky and always finding my way out of dangerous situations, more by luck than by design. It seems, said Mr. C, that fate was permanently smiling upon me, which is why he hadn't kicked me out of the ship yet. As a chosen one, it would seem I left a lot to be desired. The witchyverse, it seems, is a bit wobbly at the moment. Something to do with the gods of witchcraft, which sadly isn't the name of another pub. It transpires that one of their number had gone renegade in a stolen time taxi that vanished into some kind of hole. With this instability of time and space, everything was in jeopardy. And nothing looks good in a jeopard print. Everything works out, I said to him, but that didn't cut it with him. No, he wants to be the one to restore order. Though I suspect he doesn't necessarily want to restore it to the same order. He has all the plans about universal domination, which isn't my kink, so I tried to steer him towards a more palatable aim. Are we going to Milliways? I asked him. But he simply said,
Yes. I've just got a few things I need to do on the way.
And so we rattled on a bit further, the Tennant Extra continued to leave a burning trail across the continuum. This was fine until we caught a news bulletin in the sub-ether waveband. There was a story about a young terrorist having blown up a space station with a lucky shot. Seriously, they don't make space stations like they used to. The knock-on effect of this was that it appears there is another chosen one out there. One who is a bit more proactive. What are the odds of there being two chosen ones? Or maybe just a chosen two? But he wasn't buying it. It seems I may have outstayed my welcome. I'm not sure, but I'll see what he says after our next stop. We are just arriving at a spaceport near the Alderaan system. It's cold here, so I stole a fluffy dressing gown and a towel to keep warm. The door is opening. It appears he wants me to go first.
Get off my ship, you filthy degenerate freeloader.
Funny, that's what the last lot said. Ah, well. Time to find another lift. And maybe even another cheap bar.
Dr. Witch featured Elliot Stewart as Fluke J. Walker, CJ Hooper as Mr. Cortex, and was written by CJ Hooper and is an Invisible Commissions production.